I'm gonna go ahead and start that now. All right, cool. Yeah, so what's going on, everybody? For everyone joining in. My name is Seven, owner of Profit Rocket Club and options trader, long-term investor, crypto investor, full-time entrepreneur, and I'm here to give you guys value. Now, without wasting any time, MK, the best way to get started. For me, I was always reading self-development books, but I never read any books for specifically to trading. I actually have some and I will read them, but as far as like my journey, I'm not going to recommend something that I didn't do. So what I would recommend is you have to absorb as much information in whatever way that you're most comfortable with. So for me, it wasn't reading, but it was watching videos and buying courses. So I bought at least 10 courses and I went through all of them. I printed whatever I needed to. I used my highlighter. I learned the lingo. It's very important. You want to start from the bare bone basics. I did all of that, and especially with the videos, YouTube, and then specific people on Twitter that would host different webinars, different training sessions, live Q&As like this. I attended everything. Now, granted, we was in pandemic, so it was a little bit easier for me to do so. We had nothing but time, but while some people were watching Netflix and doing other things, I was focused on trying to learn the craft. So it's really just education before compensation. The more you learn, the more you earn. Try to absorb as much information as possible in the way that suits you. And it's things are going to start clicking. The more you see it, the more it's familiar. For me, at first, technical analysis, and I pride myself in technical analysis now. I know I've mastered it. I'm still getting better, but I know that I'm so confident in technical analysis. But at first, it looked like hieroglyphics, and I didn't know what I was looking at. I didn't understand it. But over time and just watching videos and buying the right courses, getting the right content fed to me allowed me to grow and allowed me to get started. And that's the second half of the answer, is just getting started. A lot of people want to practice, but they don't get in the game. You got to get in the game. That's how you get experience. There's a lot of people that paper traded, and yeah, I could recommend that. It's wise for people, that probably have like very limited capital. That's cool, but transparently speaking, I didn't do that. Would I've changed my journey? No, because I don't know what impact that would have made to get to where I am now. How, if that have delayed it? Maybe I would have gotten it here faster. I don't know, but I'm happy with every part of my process. So I didn't paper trade. I figured it out, and I absolutely got burned and lost and lost and lost. But eventually I figured out my edge. I got the experience. I got in the game. I got started. I hope that answers your question, MK.
Yeah, no, that helps. So appreciate it.
No, yeah, for sure. Again, definitely informal. I mean, would be great if we could use the raise your hand feature just to make it, smooth sailing and all of that stuff. I don't want anybody like kind of just overlapping each other, but yeah, like keep them coming. I want to help you guys, and if anyone else also wants to chime in, feel free. This is an open discussion. We got Toby. What's the word?
Yo, what's up?
What's good, Noob?
Yeah, so I'm taking sort of a similar path to the one you said. Like I've been doing a lot of YouTube and the courses and stuff. So I asked the question earlier in Discord, and it's mainly like my main question now is because I've done I found sort of where to look to get a better understanding of technical analysis. So I know I've been working at that, but I'm trying to understand the idea generation part of it. So I was speaking to you earlier in Discord about that. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on like the best ways to work that side of this game. Like how do you get better at picking stocks and sort of like for example your gap play that I was talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember you said, if the chart is similar from Gap and Dropbox,
Yeah.
why would I pick, one over the other, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, when you think of options trading, it's it's simple, but it's complicated in the way that, once you develop a plan, a strategy, a checklist, then you're just going through the motion and it's just doing the same thing over and over. And that's when it gets simple. But getting to that point is where you want to, develop a very strategic plan, because it could get tricky. It's not just one thing, right? Options trading is not just one element, it's multiple things. You have to have fundamental analysis, which is the due diligence of the company, revenue, price targets, stuff like that, catalyst coming. And then you have your technical analysis, chart reading, support and resistance, relative strength, etc. And then you have, your own common sense, your own ideas, right? All of that has to be in harmony. So if, we can easily say that there's a Chinese company like Vips or so, right? Look at this disaster.
Yeah.
This has been in the shadow realms since the March of this year. Why would anybody buy this, like on a downtrend? So even though from a technical analysis standpoint, you could be like, oh yeah, buy low, sell high, it's oversold or whatever. Yeah, but you also, it's not just one thing. You got to have common sense. Chinese stocks are not trusted right now in the market. They're not trusted. Been very volatile. Most of them are on a downtrend. Fundamentally speaking, maybe some of these companies are good, but the chart, the market, they don't care. It's still at a downtrend. It's still just cruising down. Why would you buy this? Right. So now relative to Dropbox and Gap, these are two different sectors. Like, you're familiar with Dropbox. For those who don't, it's a cloud space. They do a whole bunch of other things, but they store your information. I use it. I think it's actually great, so I don't have to have a whole bunch of things on my phone or my computer. I have it all in the cloud, but that's different than Gap. Gap is retail. Gap is, they own Banana Republic. They're a global company. They're not just, something that's one store in downtown Manhattan in New York. Like, no, they're nationwide. They're in different countries. They have a whole bunch of different stores under their umbrella. But even if the charts look exactly the same, I need to decide, like, why am I playing one over the other? And those reasons are multiple. It can be catalyst coming. It can be, one of them may have earnings. Maybe it's retail week, because you start realizing, or you start seeing a lot of patterns and rotations happening. Like, it's like, oh, all of a sudden, all the weed stocks start going. You see ACB, Tilray, all of that start going at the same time. Or you see a meme stock rotation where you see AMC and BlackBerry and GameStop start going, or you see, EV and so on and so forth. So if it's retail section, if it's the retail rotation, right? And sometimes the rotation goes for 2 or 3 days, sometimes just 1 day, sometimes a week, it depends. The market's going to market. But why would I play Dropbox if the retail is what was the hot sector? So I'm in Gap. I'm playing Gap more long term, because if you look at this chart right here, it made this gap down. It hasn't made a gap as dramatic as this since last year, right? Last year, November, and that was an earnings drop, even though they made $3.99 billion. But, that's a whole nother conversation. But if we're looking around March this year, 2021 March, Gap was at $32, $33, if you can see that right here, right? It's at $17 right now. This is buy low, sell high 101, so I'm not trying to get weeklies options on this. That doesn't make any sense. Even though it has a gap to fill, it's risky because it surely can continue going down. However, price has memory, gaps get filled. If y'all been tapping in, I preach that, right? So this gap will get filled. Does it happen tomorrow, next week, next month? I don't know. But I'm in March because I'm banking on the gap getting filled by March. Last March, it was at 30. right? I'll be happy if it goes to 25. It don't even have to go to 30. My contracts are going to print. And the next time that they report earnings, because they did report earnings, and they had almost 4 billion in revenue, something like by March, and that their earnings run up, and maybe they smash earnings because of holiday shopping, Christmas sales, maybe other catalysts come. Maybe by March they have guidance because the Omicron variant was a fluke, and maybe these calls print by March. So I'm as you guys saw, I'm putting together technical analysis, my fundamental analysis, and my own ideas. This is just, I think this makes sense, right? So that's why I'm picking a longer position on Gap. Now with Dropbox, that's a whole different sector. That's a whole different catalyst. Now with Dropbox, you see this daily is bouncing off the support. Boom, it bounced a couple times. These are the daily candles. It bounced a whole bunch of times here. So this is a strong support. If it was to break this level, it's going down. The calls are gonna, you just hate to see it. It is what it is, right? But it's bouncing off of the support, so you could take a shot at it. Why? Box has earnings tomorrow after hours. Box is in a similar space as Dropbox. Box goes up, Dropbox goes up. Box go down, Dropbox has an opportunity to still go up because it's just a better company. So it's a low risk, high reward potential play, because if this explodes up, if you look at the analysis, 10 different analysts are saying that their lowest price target is 31 for something that's under $25. The average is $36. Okay, I like it. I like it. Their revenue has been steadily increasing. It was in the 400, the higher 400 million. That was at 500 million. They reported earnings earlier this month on the 4th, and then they dumped. But I don't mind when things dump for earnings, because it just all depends on guidance. And sometimes when things are dramatic, just selling, that's called sandbagging. So then in the future, that people are going to buy back up if they find value in it. And, as somebody who uses Dropbox, I think that this will recover. I think Dropbox is a $30 stock, and I think depending on how Box does, can skyrocket Dropbox. And Dropbox had call sweeps coming in, Box didn't. Very interesting. So that's all three elements that I've been talking about put together into why, I make decisions into what tickers I'm playing, why I'm playing them, what strikes I'm picking, things like that.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to help. Anybody else, definitely step up. Want to make sure I get you guys right. And, it's already been 15 minutes, got 45 left. And, I want to be able to help you guys as much as possible. And Toby, if you have any other questions, anything else that you want me to cover, don't hesitate. If nobody else has any questions, that's fine.
I have a quick question.
What's going on, bro?
I just want to know, what's your view on stop losses in options?
Okay.
Do you use them, or just kind of do you use mental stops?
So that's a great question. Great question. So during my beginnings, stop losses were my best friend. They were absolutely my best friend. And now present day, I rarely use stop losses. Rarely. I use mental stop losses. I have a percentage in mind of when I'm out. That's a non-negotiable, and that depends on the size that I go in my position. So for example, if I go in a position with $5,000 in a trade, I might have a flexible position of 25% or so, right? But if I go in with 15,000 in a trade, I might have way less tolerance. I might go to 10%, and I'm like, all right, I'm out of here. So I use mental now, but when I first started, stop losses were my biggest enemy, but my saving grace more times than not, because there would be times that stop losses, I would get stopped out of a trade and then it goes right back up. It's like, oh my God, are you kidding me? You hate to see it. I'm sure you can relate. It's happened to everybody, but more times than not, it takes the decision away from me, so it's just a protection. Sometimes you could get in a position and in the dumps. And like, if you're, sitting there thinking about it, should I sell? Should I sell? You go from being down 10% to being down 15. And then you're like, oh, all right, let me just get back to break even. And then you're down 30%. And you're like, oh my God, I just want to go back to negative 10%. And then I'm out. And then you go down to negative 50% and so on and so forth. And it's just a shit show, so stop losses was like, whatever you set your limit at and you're comfortable, 15, 20, 25%, that's ballpark window. That should be, especially for everyone that's starting out and trying to figure out the trading game. It takes the decision out. I know for me, when I first started, like it took months for me to register, dude, stop letting contracts expire worthless. Things should never go 80% or 75% or 60%. No, that's when you done fucked up, So and it's nothing to be ashamed about. It happens. It's a very common rookie mistake. I've done it so many times. I think within the last like 8 months, I think I had like 2 plays that have expired worthless that I'm like, yo, I can't wait to just get this off of my screen. Because even if it's expired and you can't sell it, it's just sitting there. You're just sitting there looking at a losing play, So stop losses will protect you from that. So it's something that I really recommend. If you're on Robinhood, you would have to be very strategic in how you set your stop losses. If you're on Thinkorswim, you can do your trailing stop losses, which is something that I was doing on every trade. Trailing stop losses are awesome, and take it from there. Whatever brokerage you use and whatever you prefer, man. Like that's something I'm an advocate for sure.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. What's going on, Toby?
Yo, I got one more. Yeah, so like talk to me about like the catalyst. So does every trade you place, do you think you need to have something that you can point to as that catalyst, or is it sort of just a plus? And what are some examples of catalysts outside of like earnings and you call it investor week and analyst week, stuff like that?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so that's a great question. I appreciate you, man. That's a great question because it's something people struggle with. So not every trade has to have a catalyst, not every single one. It's just another indicator. It's just more reinforcement. And catalyst could be good or bad, whereas like the Peloton, for example, Peloton, they have had it rough. Like these dudes have been going through it all. It's just like, damn, you hate to see it. Get rid of some of these lines here, right? So like, just going to weekly. Like it's just like, oh man, this is diabolical. Glory Days at $171 is currently at $44. It's just like, oh my. Now, what were their catalysts? Besides the head and shoulders that you can clearly see here, shoulder, head, shoulder, dump, dead cat bounce, created an H pattern, and this might sound crazy. And you're like, what the hell is this guy talking about? We're going to cover that. I got y'all for sure. Maybe not tonight, but definitely in the very near future. And then it just kept continuing down. It had negative catalysts. Throughout this time, they were getting sued. Somebody, there was like deaths involved, the supply chain issues. They were too expensive, so then people were just not buying them. So it just had so many negative news, and it's like the negative news just doesn't stop coming. Like the stay-at-home rotation, now it's stay-at-home stocks are not valid unless you're Netflix, apparently. So whatever. But yeah, like the catalyst can go both ways. And I prefer to trade catalyst. That's my style. I want to play something for a reason, but sometimes I absolutely get in trade that I don't know what they have going on, but you want to play what pays. The trend is your friend, right? So it's like if there's something that has a crazy amount of volume, sometimes you have to shoot first, ask questions later, right? Because it's going, like it's impossible for you to do due diligence on every single, ticker when there's news coming out every single day. It's not possible. So, sometimes like you shoot first and find the catalyst later. But more times than not, every trade has a reason as to why they're pumping or dumping, or sometimes it's just organic growth, like, and that's cool. And who those companies are, that they're going to be around for a good time, a long time. They're not pump and dumps, that you can probably buy shares in and just chill, so I think, I don't want to go off on the tangent. Am I answering your question?
Yeah, you definitely do.
Okay. Is there anything, that I missed?
Just like, so for example, the recent news with the new virus, the new strain, that's an example of a negative catalyst in this case, right? For the market.
Absolutely. And that affects the entire market. Nothing is safe except, the vaccines, right? So it's like everything is going to the shadow realms, but then you see Moderna, you see Pfizer, you see MVAX, you see all these different, companies that are in the same sector going insane, right?
Right.
So that's 100% a negative catalyst, where it's just like, at that point, news comes out, you find things that go, that are on the opposite side of the coin, so it's like, okay, we're talking about the virus. We've seen this before, last year. You don't have to be an expert trader. We've seen this before. So when the virus came out and it was spreading, cases were rising, possible shutdown. You couldn't go to different places, unless you were vaccinated. But this is a new strain. Maybe the vaccination is not going to be valid anymore. So traveling might be hard. Maybe people might not be able to go on trips. All these different things. Like, when you hear that news, you have to try to think bigger. You got to think critically. You got to think like a institutional investor and a retail investor, and what the majority of the sentiment will be. And then you play in that trend before, things get crazy, so that's 100% a negative catalyst. That's a great example. And stuff like that happens all the time. It's just, you got to be aware. You got to know what's going on. You got to make sure that you're tapping in, whether you get your information on Twitter, on Discord, or wherever, because when those things come out, you don't want to miss it, because sometimes the reaction happens immediately. Sometimes it's delayed, but you just got to know. And that's one of the best ways to execute trades, because just off the information alone, my common sense told me, look at traveling stocks. I did that. I did some technical analysis. I seen some things that were overextended. I'm a big Gap player, so like, not Gap, the company, or I do like Gap, but gaps in general, as you can see in Piton here. So it's like, okay, on the daily, gaps get filled. Eventually, this is going to get filled. I don't know when. Sometimes it takes years, but gaps get filled. Price has memory. So I'm looking at travel stocks and I'm like, oh, some of these have gaps to the downside. In addition to what's happening, oh, these are going to go down. Boom, got a Norwegian cruise line, printed, got over 100% on two different positions. So that's definitely a way to maneuver catalysts. But like I said, sometimes there aren't any catalysts. Sometimes it's just obnoxious flow in different tickers. Sometimes things are just getting pumped. Sometimes it's just a sector rotation, which I guess can serve as a catalyst, if you want to be picky about it, whatever. But, you just want to follow the trend and play what pays.
Right. All right.
Yeah. What's going on? MMMDCCCC XXXSVY.
Yeah, I know it's a lot. It's Roman numerals for 3836. My bad.
Nah, you're good, man. Nah, I know, of course it's Roman numerals, but what's the word? What's going on?
Shit, I had politic with you a little earlier on the Twitter joint when you had told me to jump in on the Q&A tonight, because I had the question about Neo. I was thinking about, just from watching the charts and being aware about what's going on in the news and, paying attention to certain things. I was thinking, I got a feeling that Neo might hit about 43 at least by Friday of this week. But looking at the support and the resistance, though, I know what they got to break through, at least like 44, maybe. I rounded up probably like $45 once to break through the resistance. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking, should I wait until it breaks through there and see what the new floor might be for it, or just based off of what you looking at now, and like, do you think I'm going in the right direction with that? Because two, just a disclaimer, I am a beginner trader. I done got my wins and my losses, but I'm just trying to build it up from the ground up, basically. Like, I think I kind of started backwards. Like, I went into options before I really got an understanding of stocks themselves. But now that I done got myself caught up, I feel like now that I got myself caught up and then took a lot of L's, like you said earlier,
Yeah.
like, I felt like I rushed myself to the court trying to miss the game, but the game ain't going nowhere, though. I see that.
Oh man, yeah. That's appreciate you sharing that, because that was me, right? I've been there. I've been there, and I was just like, hey, I'll get the experience playing. I'll figure it out. It's all good, and
Exactly. And then took them couple
that shit was
bumps, so it's
painful.
like,
It was
that shit was
painful as hell.
That shit was painful. 1 minute you up,
Yep.
1 minute you up a couple thousand, maybe
That
a
beginner's
thousand or
luck
so,
is real.
500. And then next thing you know, you like, damn, how did I go down 2 bands, 3 bands? What the hell going on?
Take 5 trades to build up, and 1 trade to take it all away, and you're like, what the hell just happened?
Man, but I'm just thankful though that I done got in tune and came across a lot of things. Like, I didn't even know Twitter had the type of space it had for me to connect with other people, that's doing the same things that I'm doing, basically. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Just either on a bigger scale or a smaller scale or whatever have you. You know what I mean? So we all shooting for the same goal. But now that I done got in tune and got tapped into the matrix, I called it, and you know what I'm saying. Now I feel like I'm starting to move like Neo, but now I got to get it together though and really tune in though, and just pick up a lot of pointers. I learn from every last one of y'all every day. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, no, that's
Every
awesome,
day.
man. And I appreciate that. And that's the way to do it. I'm still learning, right? Ops, man, yesterday in the Twitter spaces, we had Mark Monroe on there, and he mentioned how he like his first loss was small, and then he had a bigger loss of 40,000, and then he had another bigger loss, and then his biggest loss, the most recent, was over 2 mil. Like,
And that's heck. Yeah, I was listening to that.
Right. So it's like, that it happens, bro. That's the game. I'm learning from people like that. I'm learning from people like Juicy Trades. He said when he was 20 years old, he took 5K to 2 million, right? As a 20-year-old. That's insane, right? I was like, whoa, we gotta let's talk about this. You're not about to just skip over that, my guy. And he was just like,
you can't skip over that.
Yeah, nah. And he's just like, hey man, I got really lucky in a good market, and I was just pushing buttons. But then he said he bought a Lamborghini, all of this stuff, right? He said nobody could tell him nothing. But then he also said that, within a matter of months, he lost, more than half of it, and he had to sell his Lamborghini, right?
Yeah.
So from a 20-year-old being cocky, I get that. You feel me? So I'm still learning too. There's some truly amazing people that just want to share information because, it's for the culture. The best win is a win-win. Me putting y'all on does not make me lose at all. I want you guys to grow and get better because it's possible. Like, option trading has changed my life, and I want to pay it forward because I've gotten a lot of information, like from paid courses for sure, but I've gotten a lot of information for free for people who got 20 years of experience, that look like me. I'm gonna listen.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like that shit is crazy.
What I'm saying. Like, it's different now. Like I feel like I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I'm in school again, but it's different. Like,
Right.
it's just
Yeah, because now we're making money and this is real life, and we literally directly impacting, our conditions, our families. Like, I got one of my students is 22 years old. He wrote the most amazing testimonial, basically revolving around getting his mom out of debt, building his house, paying off all his student loans. I'm just like, yo, like, Let's go, man. Like that's
And
what we're
all
doing
that
this
is
for.
possible.
That's what
All
we're
that
doing
is
this for.
possible because all the like the minute I found out that the stock market was a money printing machine, you just had to tap in and figure it out. Oh, it's time to go. It's time to go. If somebody would have told me this 10 years ago, I'd be super chilling right now.
Of course. But here we are. It's all good. Now we're just moving forward. The job's not finished. People
Oh
start.
yeah, that's all.
Yeah, man. But, it's just the more you learn, the more you earn. Education before compensation. And
I swear, because I got a long-term account and I got just a strictly options account.
Yeah, you're doing it
I
right,
try to,
man. That's
try
awesome.
to flip it that way.
You're definitely doing it right. That's for everybody listening. And for people who watch this video later.
Now,
Very
if
much.
that Neo though, do you think we gonna hit though? Do you think we gonna hit though? I feel like just based off of news and like I said, looking at the charts, which I'm still kind of new at reading the charts, so I might be looking at something wrong.
No, yeah. So I mean, I'm assuming you're a Neo enthusiast at this point, right? It seems like you really like Neo, and that's okay. Here's my issue. It's almost like, pardon me. Last year in 2020, when Neo was doing this, right?
Yeah.
That was when Neo was the little brother to Tesla.
Yeah.
Right? So that's when it was like the best, it was like, oh yeah, this is Neo is gonna take over, especially in the Chinese market and da 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 da, right?
Right. Next Tesla.
Right, the next Tesla. There isn't no next Tesla. There's only one Tesla.
There isn't. I swear, it can only be one.
It can only be one Tesla. It's been proven time and time and time again. Started this downtrend insanely. Supply chain issues, the China restrictions. Like just China stocks are not a vibe. From a technical analysis standpoint, I just don't like it. It's not a safe investment right now. It doesn't make any sense. I would rather buy, one Tesla than buy 25 Neos right now, literally.
Okay.
And that's, that's from a technical standpoint, a fundamental standpoint, and the fact that there's more challengers now. It's not just Neo. It's not just Neo and Tesla and everything is sweet. Lucid is like, yo, what it is. And we got Rivian flirting. We got Apple dropping, little hints, It's like new challengers. What's Neo? There's only one Neo that I like, and he's from the Matrix. You feel me?
I swear.
I'm like, I don't, from a chart, it's got two gaps to fill to the downside. Right here. Right here. You see that? Gaps get filled. It's at a downtrend that has been at since July.
Since all of that was going on.
Right. Since it was going, to the $50 range, been at a downtrend. So it's like, this is in no man's land right now. I wouldn't touch Neo unless it gets over like $43, $45. That ballpark.
That's what I was thinking on the other side, you know what I'm saying? Because that was just me being enthusiastic about Neo. But then on the back end, like I said, though, I was like, man, I know it's got to break through at least 44, 50, maybe 45 just to even, show some type of, uptrend-ish.
Right, exactly. It has to break that level, 44, 45. If not, it's just like, because like you can make the argument that on the monthly, this is a double bottom, right? Like it's like a potential W. If it was to break this and goes up, then the next resistance would be 54 before it even considers 66. But it's like, that's on the monthly. On the weekly, you might be able to see a little bit clearer, where it's like, that's the support, the bottom of the gap. But on the daily, those two gaps, I'm just like, I'm cool, man. I'm cool. Because it's like, this could reject the top here and just go crashing back down. And it could be fast or it could be a slow burn. And
that's what I was thinking too. The minute it hit that 45, it may hit that and then boom, drop to like 33.
Yep. It comes down to risk versus reward. What has the sauce? What has the market's backing? Like on Twitter, Neo is not wavy. It's the others that we've mentioned. They're the ones that are like the darlings. And it's crazy because at one point Neo was the darling, Why? Because they're the only ones that had like cars. Like, they were the only ones outside of Tesla. That's not the case anymore.
I don't like it. Everybody popped up now. They got
Exactly. Because they
they
know
got
the
some hitters out
game.
there.
They know the game. They know the potential. They know what's going on. Shit, I didn't even mention Ford. Like
Right, Ford back in the game, because I ain't gonna lie, shit. I think I had bought some Ford stock when it was like $13, $12. That shit done did a little move for me. That definitely did a little move for me.
Yeah. Nah, but in essence, I'm not a Neo enthusiast. If I know people that are very bullish on Neo and they're shareholders, not option traders, because options are more volatile. You can lose more money, so shares long-term shares might be okay. Because maybe it does fill the gap, but that's really just from $40, to $34. That's not bad. If this thing does go to $34, it's like load the boat on shares. Load the
Right.
boat, but
Right, because I'm already holding shares, you know what I'm saying, a few shares on it. But yeah, that was just my question as far as like the options go,
the
because you know
option
what I'm saying,
side is too risky.
long term I'm messing with it. Option side, it was like I need a second opinion.
No, for sure. Yeah, and it's a great question, because you want to make sure that I've been in your shoes, man. Like I've been in your shoes with Zoom. I've been in your shoes with Tesla, where like and Disney. And man, like just look at this. Like I'm a huge Disney fan. I'm a Marvel enthusiast. I believe
I
in their
swear, me
like.
too.
Look at this. Look at all these lines and crap that I have on this.
Man,
I'll go ahead and delete that for the vibes. But I watch Disney. Well, I was not anymore. Right now, it's off the screen. I was watching Disney every single day, every single day. But from a technical analysis standpoint, it's in no man's land.
oh,
It has a gap to fill to the upside, sure. But look at this. Look at
oh,
this.
that's hectic.
That's a gap to $134 for Disney. Disney doesn't move that much. It filling this gap is diabolical. But if it does fill the gap, you already know what I'm doing. Now it's game time back to the upside.
He's running right back in now.
Yep, exactly. Until then, is in no man's land. And that's me being the master of my fate, captain of my soul. I'm not submitting to the power of my bias. I'm not submitting to the, oh, I love this stock so much, it's gonna go up. So just because I want to, like, nah, man, it's not gonna do what I want to do when I want it to do it. It's gonna do what it does. The market's gonna move how the market moves. And I have indicators and I have information that's gonna allow me to give me the capacity to see it, right? To see what's the trend, what's the vibe, what's the sentiment,
Exactly.
and then I make my decisions from there. If it aligns, then we executing, and if it doesn't, it's off the screen until further notice. And it's all good because then I could just focus on something else, because there's always going to be something else. And I had to learn the hard way to detach myself emotionally from some of these companies. There's companies that I'm a long-term shareholder, yeah, but for options, it's different. Options is a different game. High
That shit
risk, high
deadly.
reward. High risk, high reward. Contracts expire. You got implied volatility that can rip your contracts apart. Where like at one point, your contract could be worth, $1.50 or $150. The IV goes down and then it's worth $30. You got multiple contracts. You're clapped. That shit's horrible. It happens.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful. Got to be
For
careful.
sure, man. I'm much appreciated, because you definitely confirmed everything I was thinking on the back end of what I'm saying, how I was gonna move with it. So I'm definitely gonna set that alert to 45 and see what's cracking.
Anytime, man. I'm happy to help. Thank you for tapping in, bro. That's why we're here. Terrell, what's the word? Hopefully you're still here. I see your mic moving, but I can't hear you. I don't know if it's just me.
Can you hear me?
There he is.
All right. What's good, man? How you doing?
Oh, you're getting clapped like Optimus Prime. I hear you though. You just in and out a little bit.
I'm sorry. Hopefully it get better.
Yeah. You sound cool now.
Okay. I first off, I want to appreciate you for that conversation you had last night, especially when Mark dropped in. And before I even get to my question, I think he said he recently lost $240 million.
Yeah, 240 million.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I said 2 million earlier. What am I doing? Bugging out. 240 million. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a thought in itself, but obviously that brother's took on way more than what we've probably seen in our lifetime. But
Right. But you saw his energy and his enthusiasm behind it. He said it, he owned it. That's his
he
it
did.
happened. He was so calm about it. I can't even imagine how much he has if that's what he lost. Right. So
Right.
so and
Right.
and he's he's showing what's possible, right? And it's just like, damn, when I have a bad day, I'm like, yo, man, this is a part of the process. I look at my portfolio, I look at it from a yearly standpoint, from a monthly standpoint, and I'm like, man, I see lower lows and higher highs, baby.
Man,
Sometimes I get clapped, but I'm doing better than I was before. I take a shot and then I make it all back. My portfolio hits a point of resistance. I rip through that resistance. Is lit. That's the game. That's the game.
Man.
You know what I mean?
Man, it's crazy. Like, this is the only game I know where getting slapped up is a lesson. You know what I mean? Like, it's just you definitely get something out of getting beat up in your portfolio. The hardest part is really just trying to come back to it and actually looking at it and trying to understand what you did wrong, which is the key in that whole situation.
Right.
But I wanted to also tap in. I didn't even necessarily want to ask that question, but the brother was just talking about Neo, and I'm gonna tell him the best thing that helped me about with Neo. When you and I mean, I used to be a huge Neo bull until I did these couple of things. When you look at Neo, just like what you was talking about earlier, like last year, Neo, it was basically just Neo and Tesla. Right now, if you consider what Neo's doing right now, Neo is not even top 10 in the market in China. And when you think about that, you got XP kind of popping out, and then you Tesla out doing Neo. And so when you think about why would we buy Neo now, it's not.
Hold on, Terrell. You're breaking out again.
It just made I'm breaking up.
Yeah. Hold on. Can you hear me?
Let me see if this helps.
Yeah. You mentioned Li Auto and XPav. I almost forgot about those. But it definitely seems like you're having a little bit of technical difficulties. It's all good. In the meantime, while he figures that out, because I do want to hear his sentiment and his ideas. If anybody else has a question and want to raise their hand, feel free. I see Max in here. What's good, Max? What's going on?
Yo.
Terrell, you back?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Man, I apologize for the technical difficulties I'm going through.
That's all good, man. This is informal. It's just a Q&A, just trying to give value to everybody. So you're good.
Okay. Did you catch on what I was saying about Neo?
The last thing that was clear, was talking about the other competitors and how they're not even top 10 anymore.
Right. And that helped me kind of really stop messing with Neo. She started playing more with Tesla, and the games was actually way better.
Yep.
Neo might make a good trade some days, but I don't know if I would be investing in long term.
Exactly.
Especially with the China market the way it is.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
But yeah, I just wanted to kind of share that with the brother who was just on that, but kind of give him maybe some more information to make his decision a little bit better. Not to say he's making a wrong decision. I'm just saying that's just something I wouldn't overlook.
Yeah. That's so crazy because at the beginning of the year, there was a ton of Neo enthusiasts. One of my best
Man.
friends, actually, he would always send me Neo, and I'm like, yo, get this out of my face. I'm Tesla gang, man. I'm adding to my
Man.
Tesla position. Elon is my guy. I'm a huge
Well,
Elon fan. Get this
he's the
Neo
wave.
shenanigans out of here. So and he learned the hard way. He didn't want to listen. I was like, okay, I'm trying to tell you, but
And the worst part about Tesla, a lot of times when you watching it, is the fact that you don't have any.
yeah, that's the
You know what I'm saying?
that's the worst part. That's the worst part. That's why I have my shares in another account. So whatever happens, it's like, it's in God's hands. I don't know what's going on, So
That's
like,
the best way to handle
I
it.
try
Too.
to avoid options on Tesla now. Like, even though they pay big, but I don't blew up my account before and I done made some crazy money. And it's just like, at this point, I take my shots sometimes, but I like low risk stuff, man. I want that growth. I want that consistent growth. I want to be able to, um, like, make significant gains week by week and not have to suffer, major losses because I'm messing with stocks that are so volatile and I'm doing options in them. It could be volatile, but if I have shares, I'm a little bit protected. And if I'm planning on holding for, 20, 30 years, then I think I'm gonna be okay too,
Man, owning shares though, you gotta have a great wealth of patience. Because anything
Nah, not
otherwise, I
even.
mean,
That's why you have a different account. You just get it, set it, forget it.
True. Good
Yeah,
point.
okay. If you're looking at it every day, hell yeah, you're gonna be impatient because you're gonna be like, yo, I put $1 in here. How is it not 1 million yet? What's happening?
What is going on, right?
you're gonna really be sitting there like looking at it every day, driving yourself insane. Where stocks it's not gonna do stuff like that. It's very rare, very, very rare. So but it has happened before for sure. Like, there was a stock that I put in, like $1,000, $1. It went to $10. I made 10 bands. That was a vibe. It was cool. That happened one time ever, ever. So that's not something that I'm
Very,
banking
very
on.
uncommon.
And that was a pump and dump. It's so bad. I can't even tell you what stock it was. I would have to look for it. I can't even tell you. It was a pump and dump. 100%. I can 100% admit that. So with other, like, long-term investments and companies that you really believe in, put it in another account. Don't look at it. Set it, forget it. I like
That's
Copan. I
exactly.
like God. I like Gap. I like Tesla. I like Apple. I like ETFs like Meta, VGI. A couple. It's not Pokemon. I don't have to catch them all. But what I really like, I just put it in another account and I'm chilling.
That's probably the best way to handle it, especially if you were trying to invest in a stock with long-term aspirations but with short-term goals.
Exactly.
That's the best way to handle
Literally
that.
what I do is when I have like a really good week, I'll take some of those, sometimes even days. But if it's like by the end of the week, I take money out of my day trading account. I put some in my regular bank account and I put some in my other brokerage account so I can buy some shares. I also put some in my crypto account, so I could just kind of mix it up that way. That's just what I'm comfortable with. There's no one size fit all or right or wrong way. That's just what I do, because that I want to have money in different positions that I'm not looking at it all the time. So when I am looking at my bank account, I'm like, oh damn, this is looking pretty slim. But it's just because I have my money working for me in other areas, that I'm comfortable with, and I can focus on my day trading account and just continue growing that. One of the mistakes that I used to make especially when I first started, I would have a bad week and I would add money to my account to offset the losses. Then I would follow up and have another bad week, and then I would do it again. Now all of a sudden I'm trying to make myself feel better, by adding money into my account. But the goal isn't to add money to your account. It's really to take money out. If you're a trader, if you're not a trader, then this doesn't apply to you. But if you're trying to trade, day trade, swing trade, you want to use profits that you make from day trading or short or scalping or short-term swings to fund your long-term positions. And then if you wanted to pay yourself, then to do that. But if you get clapped, you don't want to try to just add more money, because you're doing something wrong if you're getting clapped. If you lose multiple days in a row, you're doing something wrong. You putting in more money, you're just gonna lose that too. That doesn't make any sense, right? So, and I'm talking from experience. I had to learn the hard way, because then eventually I was like, all right, it's cool. I'm gonna just add more money. And next thing you know, there was no money to add. I was like, oh dear, what am I gonna do? You know, I had to build my account
Yeah.
back up. I had to do it organically, the hard way, the long way, the boring way. But I can tell you, straight face that it was worth it.
Now, when you was losing money like that, did you have some type of conviction, or was it just something you were just hoping that to change?
So it was definitely hopes and dreams, where
Mm.
I thought I did everything right. I thought I did the technical analysis, I thought I did the fundamental analysis. And I thought, I was like, yo, common sense, yo, we valid. This is what's gonna happen. So I put all my capital in like leaps, because I'm like, I don't want to day trade anymore and be on my computer for hours. I just don't want to do that, So let me just put in these long positions and I got guaranteed money when I come back. Long and behold, I didn't stop day trading. I was still at my computer all day, and I got hit with September, and there was 3 red days in a row, and my long positions went, down, 25% plus every day. So it's like, oh damn, I'm down 30%. It's all right. I'm gonna hold. It's gonna come back. Next day, oh my, I'm down 60%. No, that's all right. I'm gonna hold. I might as well hold. And then by day 3, I'm negative 90% on everything and my entire portfolio. And I'm just like, oh God. And the worst part is that I could have held it, but I was so clapped. I was just trying to preserve any capital I have left before it goes negative 99%. So I sold. I sold for a loss. I lost everything. Yep, I lost everything.
That's the same thing happened to me this past February, when everything was just selling off. You had everybody, like the market was just selling off, and I was like, oh, first day, down 10%. I was like, all right, I'll make that back up. Next day, 50%. You're like, what is going on? You looking around, you was like, oh, they still talking about the same news. I make it back. Next thing you know, 85%.
Yeah.
Right, I think it's time to cut. You know what I mean?
Like, right. Like, why are you waiting that long? Like somebody asked about
Yeah.
stop losses earlier. That's the power of stop losses. But at this point, I have enough discipline where I get to a certain percentage, I'm like, oh man, hell no. I'm out of here, dude. I'm cool. I'm cool, So that was just a learning experience. If I would have held, maybe I would have broke even. Maybe I would have actually made bank. I can't even tell you, but I would have had to stomach sitting through the whole time with no capital left, bag holding on hopes and dreams, and I just made a decision to bet on myself. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna just use what I have left to build back up. It is what it is. And I wasn't happy about it. And it took a long time, but I did it. So
sometimes you just gotta get in the habit of just saving your profit. I mean, there's no better way of putting it. When you up a certain percentage, I think like you were saying, like when you get that 25, but you get 23, you like, I'm cool with that 23, and you just pull it out. It may go back up, but the one thing you gotta kind of really focus your mind on is you got about on the positive side.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
You could have made more, but take your wins, bro.
A win is a win, no matter what it looks like.
You're not gonna get every cent in the market, bro. Trust me.
Right. Nah, for sure, man. Yeah, I appreciate you tapping in.
Yeah. Now, before I cut, how do you handle analyst upgrades and downgrades and price targets? Because them shits is all over the place.
No, that's a fact. So I'm big on upgrades and downgrades and general price targets. So like, I mean, give me any ticker, for example.
I'm gonna pull up Nvidia since that's the hot stock right now.
All right, cool. So Nvidia, that's fine. Get rid of all these lines. So Nvidia, one of the first things I do, like I mean, I trade Nvidia, so I kind of know the vibes. But like, let's say something that I don't really trade, I'm not really familiar with. One of the things that I want to see is how many people, like, what are the ratings? They buy, hold, sell. What's going on here? 45 analysts, 60% buy, 24% strong buy. The lowest price is 177. The average out of 45 analysts is 331. It's a little bit over that right now, right? You know,
Right.
and that the highest average is 400. You know, so they're showing that it still got upside. This is something that has a lot of bullish momentum. They got the analyst price targets behind them, right? What other catalysts they have coming up? I don't know. Maybe they have something else coming up, you know. So I definitely take that. And for example, with Google, I use this example with Google. Google one day had like 8 price targets in one day. That day, Google ended up going over $100 in one day, right?
Wow.
So those like price targets and downgrades are very important to as a catalyst servant. You know, it's giving you the sauce. It's telling you what the analysts are thinking, and you best believe that big money and institutional investors are looking at that. You know, oh, this got a downgrade. Damn, this downgrade is $50 down for a stock that doesn't move that much. Oh yeah, I'm out of here. I'm selling. Why does it get a downgrade? Then you start you start digging, and you start finding out more information, and then you start making decisions like that, you know. And the same thing to the upside. It's like, oh damn, this got upgrade $20. Why? Oh, they're doing a buyback program, or they're doing, you know, whatever. Like, it could be anything, but there's normally price targets normally come with some type of catalyst or news or something, you know. So they work together. You know, there's sometimes that
Mm.
there a company could get both price targets and downgrades, price target upgrades and downgrades. You know, that's where you got to be careful, and you got to really do some digging. It's like, why? You know, and then you got to also take into consideration who are the analysts, you know, that are giving the upgrades and downgrades. Now, like I normally stick to what I know, like, you know, your Oppenheimer, your, you know, Capital One, whatever, like, you know, notable names that make sense for price target upgrades and downgrades. If I hear somebody named John just saying it randomly, I'm like, all right, I don't care about this guy, you know. So and you see it. If you're on the Discord, if you go on the channel, you start familiarizing yourself with the people who are making these upgrades and downgrades, and then you can make your decisions from there.
Okay. I appreciate that, homie.
Anytime, boss.
Yeah,
Toby,
man. I give.
oh no,
Go
my
ahead.
fault. Go ahead. No, you have
No, I
another
was just
question?
saying, man. No, that's all I got, man. I just wanted to get in and tap in and see what you thought about it. And I appreciate the conversation and everybody else involved.
Yeah, no, for sure, bro. I'm gonna do this more often, you know, so we can make sure that, you know, we're on the same page, because, you know, it's not, sometimes the options game is a lonely game. You know, like sometimes you feel like, oh, you're the only one going through it. You know, there's trials and tribulations, but you know, it's only you, and it's not only you at the same time. And I teach that in my 7 Deadly Sins course. That it's not just you that's, you know, making wins or losses, right? There's people that
Right.
win and there's people that lose. It's not just you. But it is just you that's behind that buy and sell button, and the one who put it in the work and the due diligence, right? Like that's all you, you know. So but in general, like especially throughout those wins and losses and just learning, like, you know, we're a community, and we let's help each other continue to grow. Because I learned from you guys too. You know, there's been plenty of times where somebody's asking me questions and telling me to look up a ticker, and I chart it, and I end up playing it the next day. And now just off of you asking, you put some money in my pocket, and hopefully you took the trade too, and then we lit. Now we both win. You know, so I love being able to fellowship and like collaborate and work together and on developing the skill set, because y'all have seen what's possible over and over again. So y'all really know the vibes.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you, man. Listening is fundamental.
I agree. I definitely agree.
So
But
appreciate you, brother.
for sure, bro. We'll catch up. We're at the hour mark. Toby, you got your hand raised. This will be the last question. If you still have a question, or you know what's
Yeah.
going. Yeah.
No,
So
but
this is the last question.
All
For
right.
anybody else, you know, if I didn't get to your questions, I'm gonna do another Q&A on Wednesday. On Wednesday, we're gonna do it. So definitely pull up. You know, I'm gonna try to do this more often to be able to just provide more service. So, you know, don't be discouraged. And if not, if you can't wait till Wednesday, and check the beginner learning chat in the Discord and ask away. There's people that are willing to help, that are probably just more available than I am, especially if you're on the West Coast and I'm on the East Coast. where it's 8 o'clock my time, and I normally unplug, But Toby, what's the word?
Yeah, appreciate you going over, bro. So yeah, I remember how you mentioned that certain sectors they like heat up together, like the stocks in those sectors heat up together. Like most recently, I guess that example would be like the EVs and the chip stocks, right?
Yep.
So I guess my question is there a way to, and I know you mentioned this like Twitter and Discord is how you could sort of find, I guess, like a common theme or trend going on, but are there any ways to identify some of these lesser or some of the other ones that might be moving? Like I was thinking like with ETFs, looking at ETFs be a way to do that, or um, something along those lines to find other sectors that are sort of getting sort of like running, but I'm not really sure. That's why I'm sort of, I don't know.
So wait, so what do you mean? Are you asking like so you said sectors, or are you asking for specific stocks that are in sectors?
I think I mean sectors. I think I mean sectors like, for example, like retail. You mentioned retail was sort of hot when you mentioned the Gap thing. So would you identify that? Would it just be paying attention to a bunch of retail stocks, or are there other ways where you could sort of find that information through like?
Yeah. So no, definitely. So for me, I'm we're part of a community, so I'm trading with people, right?
Mhm.
So I I can't watch everything. So maybe somebody mentions something is going right, and we're looking at that, and then we could put, we can start looking at the other part of, whatever else is in their sector, and then we can see, everything is running. At that point, it's just like pick one and just get in there,
Mhm.
right? A short-term scout. So you can kind of have an idea, if you see something being very bullish, you just gotta, and you'll get it. It'll become more like easy with experience, because you'll know, okay, when I think of this, I think of that. When I think of that, this too, So then you just start looking real quick and seeing, what's going on with every individual stock. And if you see everything in the same sector is going and is green, then that's telling you that the rotation is fire. So like, this is a good website to see, like, the heat map. You could type it on Google too, just the heat map, and I'm sure something will come up. And then you can see like what sectors are moving. Like, there's been times that this whole thing is red. There's been time that this whole thing is green. There's been time that half everything on the left side is red, and things are all over the place. And then like maybe like real estate is probably super green, or industrials are super green, or utilities, so the heat map is definitely something that's important. On Twitter, you can get this information from people that post it and make your life easier. Like, Wall Street Jesus, he posts the heat map, and so does Delta One. Like I think those two are like really important Twitter accounts to follow that just give you information. But definitely Finviz shows you the heat map. You can also go on the Discord and go on Stockbot Fam, and you could put in literally exclamation point heat map. Maybe the command might have something different, but you can just see what other people are typing, because people are using it every day, and then you get the information from there. And also scanners as well. So like, there's people that use Thinkorswim, and they have scanners to see, what has a lot of volume and volatility, pre-market. And, sometimes they get information that is like, it just so happens that there's like 5 retail stocks that have a lot of volume coming in, and they're bullish or they're bearish or whatever, because sometimes it's a sector rotation that money is coming out of it, not in it, so it goes both ways, man. Stocks go up, stocks go down. So yeah, hopefully that helped.
Yeah, definitely. Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, anytime. But that concludes our Q&A. I hope you guys received value. Type 1 in the chat if you received value. I want to know, because if I'm not giving you guys value, then I got to do something different. But there you go. Awesome. Yeah, let's go. That makes me happy. And I want to make sure that you guys become the best traders that you possibly can be, and it all comes down to just information and learning as much as possible. Because this game has a lot of different elements to it, but once you start getting it and it starts clicking, then there's a checklist, and you start seeing things faster. You start making decisions faster. Your brain waves and your analysis starts coming together quicker. You know, all of that. It's all so crazy. It's all in harmony. It's like literally like 100 machines and, you know, just one inner working part that connects all of them, you know. So and that happens just the more that you do it, the more that you show up, you know. So yeah, man, let me know if you guys need anything. You know, you guys got me on Twitter or on Discord, and we're gonna get right. Just have a good trading day tomorrow. I'll see you guys in morning charting.
Here,
Later,
all right.
y'all.